AstroBot has over 170 of these character bots, which are all references to different PlayStation games, both first and third party, and while there's some cool deep cuts and some obvious ones in here, there's also a lot of big ones that I thought for sure were going to make it in, but just aren't in the game. So here are all the bots I was most surprised didn't make the cut. The biggest third party one I would have expected was Final Fantasy, or Square Enix in general, but they're completely absent from this, which I think is very strange. Maybe, fingers crossed, they're just going to do a Square Enix DLC at some point. One can hope. Of the first party stuff, Sweet Tooth was probably the most surprising omission. Would have bet money he would have been in this. No resistance whatsoever, which, like, the main character resistance is kind of just like a guy. But I would have thought that Chimera bot would have made it in. The whole game, I was like, where's resistance, where is KZ? And then at the very end, you get some Helgus soldiers, but the resistance Chimera, not in there. Okay, I'm putting this up here because the PSVR 2 has, like, zero representation in the entire game. And I get it, there's not really any first-party PSVR 2 characters except for the guy from Horizon. You're like, well, how do you put him in there because this was a first-person VR game? I think that one of the Horizon bots that you got from Her World could have just, like, had a PSVR 2 headset on and a bow and arrow and we would have gotten it. Would have been nice for the PSVR 2 to get any acknowledgement. No Spider-Man bot. This one might be a rights issue of Disney, but he was in Astro's Playroom, so I thought for sure we'd get a Spider-Man bot. No siphon filter whatsoever. This is like a classic PS1 game. I would have thought it definitely would have made it in, but no. No Heavenly Sword, and while this isn't the biggest franchise, I feel like it's very iconically PS3. On a similar note, there was no Lair reference, which again, not a huge franchise, but I feel like very iconically PS3. I was surprised there was no Folklore reference. This is far from the biggest franchise, but considering this is made by Sony Japan, and then Sony Japan is now Team Wasabi, which made Astro Bot, I thought they would put it in there, especially because they did a really good job of referencing back to, like, all of the past Sony Japan projects, as far as I can remember, except for this one. This one is way more of a deep cut, but I'm surprised that there wasn't a sorcery reference just because I thought that they would have homaged at least one PlayStation Move specific game, like with the PlayStation Move controllers, because they did a pretty good job of, like, representing each of the PlayStation systems, except for PSVR 2, I guess. So I thought if they're going to do a character that's specific to the PlayStation Move, I think sorcery was maybe the biggest, most notable first-party release of that peripheral. And then the last surprise was no Primal. Not a huge franchise from the PS2, but it's definitely more notable than Mr. Mosquito. So after I saw the Mr. Mosquito reference, I was like, oh, every Sony first-party game is getting a call-out. No Primal there. Which characters were you surprised didn't make the cut? Let me know in the comments. And also, do you think we're going to see any of these in the upcoming DLCs? They said that for the time trials, there's going to be some new VIP bots. So maybe they're saving some of them for there. But also, if you watched this far, give me a follow. And if I'm live, hit the live and come join me.